It is the 29th of October, Rabbi First, Pierke Avos.
Okay, good morning again. As we mentioned, it's Rabbi First here in Trying Care of Zoom, and we're doing Ben Azmanim right now. Since it's Parshas Bereshis, we just read this past Shabbos. We're learning the ramifications of the divine creation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's creation of Adam, humanity, and I'll put that on the screen where we left off yesterday. Let's see here, share screen.
Did you get my email, Rabbi?
Yes, I did, by the way. I happened to take a look at it. We'll try and maybe deal with that. Let's finish. We'll see what they have to say. So that was the responses you got from Eshet Torah. I saw some of them there.
Right. Yes, that was the discussion about the word for dark.
Right. Okay, good. Hopefully we'll get to that business. Yeah. Right. Very good. Okay. Fine. Let's see. Okay. Let's start again. Let's in the middle of this. Just to make a summary. Okay. The first point was mentioned here. That the divine creation of Adam by HaKadosh Baruch Hu obligates humanity in the 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach. And likewise, therefore, as a corollary to that is the divine intervention of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the destiny of Klal Yisrael by taking us out of our servitude, our slavery to the Egyptians in Mitzrayim. It also obligates us in a relationship not simply of a son to a father, as is the relationship of all humanity to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but also as a servant to his master. That Klal Yisrael, because of the extra special benefits that we received from HaKadosh Baruch Hu when he took us out of Mitzrayim, and we became, as the Psukim say, slaves, not just as we were free from slavery to people, when now we became servants to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that obligates us in the relationship that we have to have with HaKadosh Baruch Hu as a servant to a master. Let's start over here in the middle. This paragraph here, it says, "V'kevan shekulam heim avadim li, shot seisi es kulam mitzrayim." Let's start with that paragraph there, if you see it. Any volunteers to read?
Okay, I see it. V'kevan shekulam heim avadim li, shehotzi asi es kulam mitzrayim biyachad eno roy sheyish tavdo ba'achehem ha-nimcharim lahem. So the Kavan, since all of them are servants to me, given that I brought them out of I brought all of them out of Egypt together. It's not appropriate sheyish ta'avdu that they should serve somebody else.
Right. They should be servants to their brothers, to their brethren.
Oh, achehem, to their brethren. V'nim karim. lahem, that they are close to them.
In part, they should be sold. They should be sold as servants to them.
Sold, that they should be sold to them.
Yeah, that's not appropriate for a Jew. That's not appropriate, because since we were acquired by Kadosh Baruch Hu to be servants to Him, it's not appropriate that we are considered to be servants to anybody else.
And yet we have a halacha that mandates the selling of a thief.
Right. Again, but that's only going to be for a limited time. That's going to be like a 7-year servitude, right?
Right.
So and that's only in terms of his rehabilitation. We want him to be really rehabilitated, right? So therefore, his servitude is part of his rehabilitation.
Right. Okay. Va'amar bishnehem asher hotzasi osam me'eretz Mitzrayim leho ros ki ma shehem avadav lo shekanim bidamim lehash tavad bahem avodas avadim. And it says with both of them, or with two of them, that I brought them from Egypt, the Horos.
The Horos, that's an indication. The Horos is an indication.
Which indicates that what they served, Shehem Avadav, that they are my servants, and not acquired. What's bidamim?
With money. Damim is money.
And not acquired with money. To serve them with a service of slavery. Ella
Right.
Shebahotziim me'eretz Mitzrayim nish'aro avadim lo. Rather, that in taking them from Egypt, what's nish'aro?
And that they should remain.
That they should remain servants to me.
Right.
To him being Hashem.
Right. That was the one of the purposes, the intentions of taking us out of Mitzrayim was in order that we should become now meshubed, subservient to Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's part of what it means that when we were the pasuk in Devarim says that the Kadosh Baruch Hu took out the core barzel. He took us out of the smelting pot of of Egypt, which purified us in order that we should be able to accept the Torah. The ordeals that we went through in our experience as slaves in Mitzrayim, and also the ordeals we went through in experiencing the miracles of the 10 plagues and the Kriyas Yamsuf. These experiences were part of forging us into a nation which would be able to receive the Torah. Say Na'aseh v'nishmer Har Sinai. And with that statement, that sealed the fate of Klal Yisrael as being a nivchar, the chosen people, and our servitude to HaKadosh Baruch Hu began at that point as a nation.
Right. Let's see. Kamelech Hakovesh Medina Achas Vehem Meshubadim Le'avodato B'chol Ma Shetzarich. So it's like a king Hakovesh, who conquers.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, that's right. Very good.
A Medina, a country, Echad, one, Achat, one, and they become subservient as his slaves in all that shetzarich, that he desires.
Right. That when, just as a king, when he will conquer a certain region, so those people there are now subservient to his service in whatever is required. Right.
Right. Right. Lo sheyiyu avadim mamash. They should not be actual servants. V'chein Hakadosh Baruch Hu rachem al Yisrael shehayu Mitzrayim me'avadim osam v'zachar beriso lehotziim lecharus. And so Hashem had mercy on the Jewish people that were in Egypt.
They were I think there was servitude. They were in servitude in Egypt. They were experiencing slavery in Egypt.
Right.
Shahayu Mitzrim Mishabdim Nosam, that the Egyptians were enslaving them.
And he remembered his covenant to take them out to freedom. Below Karim Avadim Ella Be'arech Shifadaim May Avdus Mitzrayim V'nish'aro Misho Avdim Lo Bechach. And they're not called servants, rather Ba'arach, I don't know.
The Ba'arach it's it's like the be'erech, meaning lo kara avodim ela be'erech. They're not called slaves only in a general way. They're only called slaves in a general way.
Uh,
Shepa'adam ba'avdus Mitzrayim, that they were redeemed from their servitude of Egypt.
from the servitude in Egypt, Shanish Aro Misho Avdim Lo Bachach. I don't know.
So they were redeemed from their servitude, from the servitude of Egypt, and Yesharu Meshubdim Lo Bekach, and they remained obligated to a Kadosh Baruch Hu through this. Meaning the relationship between Klal Yisrael and the Kadosh Baruch Hu is not an optional relationship. People think that, it's nice to be Jewish. We have these this special relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. We have our mitzvahs, in certain ways we're elevated amongst all the other nations of the world. And but we should realize that it's not a voluntarily relationship. It's not something which is optional. It's not an optional relationship because of the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu took us out of Mitzrayim, from our servitude, and brought us to a situation where we were free from our enslavement. That is a full-fledged obligation to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's exactly what the Haggadah starts off. The Haggadah starts off, if we remember, right, that we were avodim to power Mitzrayim, and ilu lo hotzianu mi Mitzrayim. If Hashem didn't take us out of Mitzrayim, we, ubano beneno, we and our sons and our sons and our children's sons, we'd all be to this very day slaves to power Mitzrayim. Meaning that statement is a verification of what's being stated over here, that don't make a mistake and think that our relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu is optional. No, we have a full-fledged obligation to serve the Kadosh Baruch Hu.
But it's not fair.
What do you mean it's not fair?
Hashem says, well, since I took you out, you're obligated. And my response is, well, don't put me in there in the first place. Who asked you to put me in there?
Well, that's similar to what the Gemara says. The Gemara says, both Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai agree that it was better not to be born. But since we're born, we have no choice.
So how do they justify that?
They said, the Gemara just makes that statement, goes on to another point. But but again, people make a mistake. They think that people make a mistake and think that they can negotiate with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. No, there's no negotiations over here. The fact that the Kadosh Baruch Hu is the creator, right? That's the way it is. Just like the Gemara says, it's better not to have been born, meaning had we made our own decision to be born or not to be born, it's much better to say, I'd rather not be born, right? But again, that wasn't our decision. Since it wasn't our decision, we have no choice. But Kadosh Baruch Hu didn't give us that decision to make. He made that decision for us.
Okay. Ulechein tiva shelo yish ta'avdo kitsasam bikatsasam. And therefore, we were commanded that we should not be servants. Kitsasam is a little bit.
Yeah, that's right.
A little bit with a little bit.
Well, it's talking about, I think, groups over here. Therefore, it's commanded to us that a portion of, meaning in terms of Klal Yisrael, it's therefore the command has been given that not one portion of Klal Yisrael should enslave another portion of Klal Yisrael. Therefore, it's been commanded that a partial group of Klal Yisrael should not enslave another group of Klal Yisrael.
Right, except temporarily.
Yeah, that's right.
Hi lechach hotzi'am me'eretz Mitzrayim kidei shelo yi'u od avadim. Since, therefore, we were brought out of Egypt in order that it should not be more servitude, that we should not be slaves anymore.
Right. The one of the main aspects of servitude is that a person he's continually busy with other people's affairs. He has no affairs of his own. Right. He is completely subservient to the will and the requirements and the needs of the master. Right. So that is something Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want for us. He wants us to be able to have an ability to express our free will choice of serving him, right? So in order to do that, right, to express our free will choice to serve Kadosh Baruch Hu, we have to be free from any other previous or overpowering obligations. We have to be free from all other obligations so we can use our free choice to serve Kadosh Baruch Hu.
Right. Ulazeh amar hakastuv habet ki li b'nei Yisrael avadim. And for this, it says in the pasuk,
the second pasuk base in the second pasuk.
In the second pasuk, because to me the children of Israel are servants.
Right. That this is primary. That and again, a lot of people don't really internalize this. This is not really internalized by too many people. It's not really emphasized to the extent that it really should be. This is really something which is very seriously rooted in the foundation of the Jewish way of life and living. That we have to realize that our obligations are exclusively to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Just as I said, a normal slave has no personal obligations. Right? A slave is obligated completely, absolutely to the needs and the requirements and the desires of the master. and likewise, the Jewish people individually and collectively, right? We should therefore, and similarly, very similarly, even more than perhaps as a slave to Basar V'Dam, as a slave to a human would be, we even more so because we're considered to be subservient to Kadosh Baruch Hu, we have to understand and feel that we ourselves have no personal obligations. Our absolute obligation is pure subservience to Kadosh Baruch Hu's desires and commands for us. And that's something which is not really emphasized too much. The children at the very earliest age and at home, and then when they get going and they're in educational settings, this should really be really inculcated into the minds and hearts of children when they're very, very young age.
Well, isn't that the primary message of Pesach?
Yeah, definitely so, definitely so. And but it's really not enough just once a year. We emphasize it on Pesach, but it should really be reviewed on a really constant basis. To a certain extent, if you understand what you're supposed to be doing when we say Kriya Shema in the evening and in the morning twice a day, so being Makabel Ol Malchus Shamayim, that's part of our saying the Kriya Shema, so that in a certain extent is covered by the saying of Kriya Shema, right? But again, if that's if a person's going to integrate it properly, right? But again, you have to work at it to integrate it properly.
Right. Kulam derech klal haim avadim li below avadim la'avadim. All of them, derech klal is the normal way.
Yeah, that's right. In like in general, like kulam, meaning kulam, all the Jews, derech klal haim in general, haim avadim li, they are subservient to me,
And not subservient to slaves.
Right. They're not supposed to be subservient to slaves. Now, slaves, you can go on a bit of a tangent and discuss what does it mean that they're avadim la'avadim, meaning why should this is in reference to the rest of the world, right? We're avadim to Kadosh Baruch Hu, and we're not avadim to avadim, meaning it's a tremendous difference. We're avadim to Kadosh Baruch Hu, so we have to devote ourselves and our lives to the fulfillment of the desires and the requirements of a Kadosh Baruch Hu and the commands of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, right? Which are ultimately, right, those desires and commands of a Kadosh Baruch Hu are ultimately for the final absolute good that a Kadosh Baruch Hu wants this world to achieve, right? Those are the commands and the desires and the requirements of a Kadosh Baruch Hu to bring about the ultimate situation of good in the world. Whereas, as it says here, if we would be, in contrast, avadim la'avadim, if we would be servants, slaves to slaves, so he could have just said avadim la'amim, avadim to the nations, but he didn't say avadim to the nations, say avadim to avadim. He said slaves to slaves. Because why? Because they're all enslaved. The rest of the world, with lacking Torah to tamper their basic midas of kina taiva v'kavod, right? And we mentioned many times kina taiva v'kavod. They are motzias adam min ha'olam. These three things, kina taiva v'kavod, right? They are something which will, if unchecked by the desires of Kadosh Baruch Hu, the needs of Kadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak, and the commands of Kadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak, in his Torah Kadosha, if those things are not checked by Torah, so then they simply will, as the Chazal mentions, Pierke Avos say, will be most asadim in olim. They will take a person out of the world, right? So therefore, they're considered to be slaves. We are not slaves to slaves. Why are they considered to be slaves? Because they're slaves to the Yetzer Hara. What are the needs? A person who is a slave to Basar V'Dam. So what is he? What is his involvement? His involvement is having the master fulfill his kina, his type of a kavod. Right? That's what the slaves are involved with, fulfilling the physical lusts and desire for pride and physical needs. The slaves are involved with that. So they're avodim to avodim, they're slaves to slaves. Whereas we were free, that what we are occupied with, our occupation is involved with serving Kadosh Baruch Hu through his commands, is bringing about the eventual ultimate good to the world.
So how does this relate to Noah's statement that Canaan will be a slave to slave of slaves? Is it the same expression?
Have to check the pasuk here. 1 minute. So what Noah, excuse me, what Noah said to Canaan, that um
25. It's 20. It's Tet Kaf Zion. Vayimar Arur Canaan Evid Avadim Yeh Le'echav.
right. Yeah, that's right. That's very good. That's very good. He's an Eved La'avadim. He's a slave to slaves, right? Because in fact they are um they are enslaved by their own timers, right? That
So is he saying to Canaan, because you gave into your taiva, this is your destiny?
That's one way of looking at it. Yeah, that's a pretty good way of looking at it. Yeah, I agree. I could agree with that statement. I mean, you want to have to try and think of what the kavanah of Noah was here with this. I mean, don't forget when Noah did this, this was part of a consequence of Ham's actions, right? So this is in some way a tikkun to the behavior of Ham, which led to this.
Ham or Canaan?
Well, Canaan got the curse based on what Ham did. That's a separate question. The Mephoshim asked that question. Canaan was not the one involved. It was Ham that was the one involved.
Right. Ham didn't want to share the world with another son.
Right.
So that was
Right.
the taiva.
Yeah, very good. That's right. Correct. Correct.
Okay, just curious what the relationship was to that to this. Let's see. Ve'elu shenim charu avdei haim asher hotzesi osam me'eretz kule. Ve'elu, and these that they were sold as slaves that I brought them out from Egypt, etc. I'm not sure I'm following this the logic here.
Okay, 1 second. That ve'elu shenimkoru avadayim asher hotzesiim Mitzrayim, and those which are sold avadim, meaning that they are my even those which are sold, meaning even those Jews. I think he's referring to the point we mentioned ourselves. Even those Jews that are in fact sold, they are still my slaves, which I took out from Eretz Mitzrayim.
Oh, I see. Kamo shekasav gam kain pasuk bet ratzalomar gam ki nim karu lo yatso me av odasi ki haim chayavim be'avodasi v'hu kiyum kol haTorah b'shava kemo hakonim osam. It's like that which is written also in the second pasuk, which is to say, also, since they were sold, they did not go out from slavery because they are obligated in my service. And it is established, it established all of the Torah Bishava is equivalent?
That right, that Vahu Kiyam Kol Torah B'Shava, they're all right. So you're all obligated in my service, which is Hukim, which is what's my service? That's the fulfillment of all the Torah equally.
Equally. My service is the fulfillment of all the Torah equally. Kamo Hakonim Osam. Like I acquired them.
Right, right. Kamo Hakonim Osam. For it is Kamo Hakonim Osam. For it is that I have acquired them. Since Kadosh Baruch has acquired each and every Jew, right? They're all obligated in his service equally.
Ulazeh Amar miyad ani Hashem Elokeichem Elokei kulechem derech klal lekonim ulemucharim. And this that is said immediately, I am Hashem, your God, the God of all of them, generally to acquire and to purchase.
That for this it's said miyad. Immediately it's said in the pasuk, Ani Hashem Elokeichem, I am a Kadosh Baruch Hu, your God. Elokei kulchem, I am the God of all of you. Derech klal, in general, lekainim ulemokrim, whether or not it's going to be those who purchase slaves or those who are sold as slaves themselves. And he is the absolute
Or sold.
sovereign, whether or not they're acquiring slaves or whether or not they are sold as slaves. But he's the equal and majestic ruler over all of it.
Hare sheyesh chiyuv la'avdo ulekavdo keben la'av uke'avad l'rav. We see that there is an obligation to serve him and to honor him like a son to a father and a servant to a master. Ukamo she'amar hanavi and it's like that is said by the prophets. I don't know what ayin hey is.
Avos Shalom, the prophet Avos Shalom, peace be upon it.
Allah Shalom. In Malachi Aleph, Ben Yikvod Av Ve'eved Adonav Ve'im Av Ani Eye Kivodi Ve'im Adonim Ani Eye Mori V'kule. The son honors his father, and the servant his master. And if the father, the im of ani aye, I don't know, ani I am. What's aye?
That the son honors the father and the Eved his master. Ve'im ben ani eye kavodi. If I am a father, you shall honor me. Im adonim ani, if I'm the master, right? A mori, you shall fear me.
V'lo amar b'ven aviv kemo shekasav ba'eved adonav v'lo av be'eved yikbad v'lo yira. And it doesn't, you don't say to a son, his father is like that which is written with a servant to his master, and not with a servant to honor. What is Yireh? Yireh? Rabbi,
Yes.
I need help here.
Yeah, what's the question?
What is the word Yud Daled Aleph?
That the question is here that that it doesn't say by the ben to the father, como it says like the Eved to the master, below be'eved yichabed, below yira, and not that in the Eved that he's being honored, below yira, and not that he's not being feared. Kia covered a ben av ala ben enam kusheches min av. That the pasuk again. You have to go back to the pasuk. Ben Yechavid Av, the Ben honors the father, Ve'evid Adonov, and the servant his master. Ve'im Av Ani, Yekavodi, if I'm a father, you shall honor me. Ve'im Adonim, if I'm a master, Ani, if I'm the master over you, you shall fear me. Lo Omer the Ben Aviv, Kamo Shikasav Eved Odono. Doesn't say by the son in relation to the father, as it says by the servant in relation to the master. Hmm. Mm. Um, hmm, 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 hmm.
Be back in an hour. Okay, so
Uh-huh. Yeah, right. Then when in the beginning of the pasuk, if you look at the pasuk, Ben Yechavid Av says the Ben shall honor the father, the Eved Adonai, and the slave his master, right? So it doesn't say the there's an interjection of the word yichabed between Ben and Av, where that doesn't exist between Eved and Adonov.
Hmm. And what is that word yichavin?
Well, yichabed is to honor him.
Oh, it doesn't. Oh, I'm sorry. So it says a son should honor his father, but it doesn't say a servant should honor his master.
No, it just said Eved Adonov. It says Ben Yichabed Av, Eved Adonov, right? So,
Uh-huh. So the fact that it doesn't say honor for the Evid, but isn't it implied if son will honor his father and a servant his master? Doesn't it imply that the word kaved applies in both parts of the sentence?
yes, you're right. The implication is there, but it's not, the fact that it's not stated specifically is what he's trying to point out.
Right. And he's saying, therefore, you don't have yira for the master, only yira for the father.
It says, Lo Omer Ben Aviv, Kamo Shekasa Be'eved Adonov, Lo Be'eved Yichaved, Lo Yiro. Um, let's see what time it is. Yeah, I'll tell you what. I see we've come to, it's past 10:30 now. And you know what? Well, let's go. We'll save this paragraph for tomorrow because I see that it's we're gonna have to do a little bit of analysis on this.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's we'll pick up with this tomorrow and we'll try and get it a little bit clearly. What is he's contrasting this statement from the prophet. So I'm not sure how we'll have to look at it again. Okay, let's say this for tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem.